בוקר טוב לכולם, תודה שהגעתם למפגש שלנו Using Social Media for Innovation. שמי קרן ליטני, אני המייסדת של Socialize. הקמתי את Socialize לפני שנתיים. מה שהתחיל כחברת ייעוץ קטנה, או בעצם ייעוץ חד פעמי לנשיא של צ'קפוינט, הפך בהדרגה לחברת ייעוץ קטנה, במטרה לסייע לארגונים לעבוד על פלטפורמות חברתיות ארגוניות ולהתקדם, לעשות עסקים ברוח התקופה. אבל הדבר שאני ממש אוהבת זה בעצם אנשים, ואני מאמינה בכוח של קהילות. אז מה Socialize עושה בעצם בעולם של סושיאל ביזנס? אנחנו יזמנו והקמנו את הקבוצה הזאת במיטאפ, התחלנו את זה לפני שנה, והיום יש לנו כבר יותר מ-800 חברים במיטאפ. אנחנו נפגשים אחת לחודש כדי לעזור אחד לשני to expand our knowledge על כל התחום החדשני הזה שנקרא Social Media ו-Web 2.0, כדי להכיר ולתמוך אחד בשני, לא רק בעסקים, בכל מיני תחומים בחיים. והדבר השלישי שאנחנו עושים זה מחברים בין יזמים מסטארט-אפ ניישן, כל המהנדסים החכמים האלה שיצא לי להכיר במשך השנתיים האחרונות, ומחברים אותם לארגונים וללקוחות קצה. אז אנחנו פועלים במסגרת של מיטאפ. הארגון של המיטאפ הוא non-profit לגמרי. אם אתם רוצים לדבר במפגשים שאנחנו יוזמים, אז אחת לחודש אנחנו נפגשים, ואתם מוזמנים להעלות כל מיני סוגים של רעיונות, להרצאות, שאתם רוצים לקדם בתחום הזה של Web 2.0, אני יותר מאשמח. המפגש הבא שלנו ב-26 לנובמבר, אנחנו מארחים את דוקטור איריס מור מאוניברסיטת סנט ג'ונס בניו יורק, ואיריס תדבר על איך לעשות קמפיינינג ויראליים, אז היא תהיה הקיינות ספיקר שלנו לאירוע הזה של 26 בנובמבר, ושוב, אתם מאוד מאוד מוזמנים אם אתם רוצים לדבר במפגש הזה. אז כמו שאמרתי, אנחנו גם מחברים בין יזמים ללקוחות קצה, וזאת הסיבה שהייתי כל כך נרגשת שאור הירשואגה, העורך של דה-מרקר איתי, פנה אליי לפני חודשיים, וביקש ממני שאני אעזור לו לכתוב על כל התחום החדשני הזה שנקרא Social Software, תחום שאני יותר אוהבת לקרוא לו Social Enterprise, וככה הצלחנו להכניס לכל הכתבה הזאת את כל היזמים והסטארט-אפיסטים שפועלים בתחום הזה, ויצאה כתבה לא רעה בכלל, אז אני שמחה שיכולנו לעזור. ממילא לא הייתי מקימה את הקבוצה הזאת, את קהילת סושיאל ביזנס בישראל, אם לא הייתי מכירה את כל היזמים האלה שדוחפים אותי ומעודדים אותי להמשיך. אז האג'נדה שלנו להיום, יש לנו היום 4 מרצים מצוינים, אז אנחנו נתחיל בזה שאני אזמין את הקיינות ספיקר שלנו לבמה, את מריו הרגר, used to work at SAP until very recently. Mario, why don't you join me? Come here. Okay. As I met with Mario 2 years ago. Come here. I met with Mario 2 years ago at a summit in San Francisco, and couldn't pay $2,000 for his workshop on gamification, so I decided to invite him to come over. And we were running this workshop in December when I started, and we had Socialize13 with Sandy Carter from IBM, with Udi and Tebi from Jive, and then we were running this workshop again in February, and this is the 3rd time that you are in Israel, and we're running the workshop tomorrow. So we're going to talk a lot about gamification in the next 2 days, and about human behavior, and about intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. So I think the best way to start the meetup today is to ask Mario what motivates you, because you've been coming here like the third time this year.
What motivates me, when I a few years ago, 3 years ago, turned 40, I said, 40 means half of my life is over. So I'm gonna die when I'm 80. So that means I don't want to do the second half of my life not doing stuff that I don't like, and so I wanted to have fun and do stuff that's interesting. And that's why I picked up a couple of topics back then that I thought are interesting. One of them was gamification, we will hear that, and innovation, and I don't want to deal with people in my life that are always negative. I'm from Vienna, so people there are very negative. They always complain. We are world record champions, world champions in that, and I can teach you a lot about how to complain about stuff, but you know better? Okay, Israelis, yeah. so I started to deal with people, or try to meet people that are engaging, have interesting ideas, really can play with ideas, go with that, and not ask the questions like, why do we need that? Why are you doing that? And are you not happy? And why are you not working for a big company and just do a startup? That's just ridiculous, this kind of thing. And Karen, of course, is one of these people who just has good ideas, has this passion, the drive to do something. And that was clear 2 years ago when she was in San Francisco coming there. When you meet her the first time, you think, oh my God, she wants all this stuff and she doesn't know, but she did. And that is this engaging thing. So I feel always welcome and home coming here, talking to and meeting people from Israel. And you know, I mean, I've read the book Startup Nation. I had to deal a lot with Israelis. It's not only my third time in Israel. I think it's another 8th time in Israel in the past 10 or 12 years. And there's a lot that we can learn from the Israeli culture as well, of how to, not necessarily from the religion, yeah, and all this crazy stuff going on. I'm Catholic, so we are crazy as well. But all this kind of inspiring thing, this dynamics, people having a lot of ideas, and just this go-get mentality. And that's why I like also being here in Israel. Thank you everyone for coming. I know it's Monday morning. For some people it started bad. I came here with a colleague, former colleague. She already dropped her badge in the morning in the elevator shaft. So she had to check, oh no, did you just see that? It fell down, so it's a crazy Monday, but I hope we can make an interesting topic. And I'm talking today about using social media and innovation. I have been in the past years a lot involved in innovation. Past years I talk about 15 years. And I've seen that how in a big corporation innovation works or does not work, and where people are struggling. And also I talk a lot about gamification and help companies make work more fun. What I always see is gamification tries to change a behavior, but often there are other challenges that come with that. Like, for example, IT problems that you have. There's no way to bring in gamification because it's just an IT problem. If the server performance is slow, it doesn't help changing the behaviors of people. Just bring some more machines and make the performance faster. Another one is innovation. And I wanted to go with you through a couple of these things. In this picture, anyone knows this person? You know who that is? Edison, correct, yeah. So he has, there's a clue in it, he has the light bulb in his hand. He's known for being one of the most prolific inventors in the world, holding more than 1,000 patents. He's already dead, of course, this was like 100 years ago. And he's known for the light bulb, for the phonograph, for the movies, and a lot of other things. Electricity, he brought that electricity as well to the countryside. He was one of these people struggling with Tesla back then, competing systems and so on. But you think Thomas Edison is the person. Actually, he's not. He's just one of his team. He had actually a large team of scientists or fellow researchers who worked with him on those things. So this notion that innovation is something that the lone genius makes and does is a wrong one. It's always a collaborative effort. I know you like watching movies probably as well, and the stereotypical inventor is this crazy guy with his hair standing up there, and he has this crazy idea and this look, and you don't understand what he's saying, but he gets all this great stuff like a car that can fly back into the future, yeah, or in the past. So there are certain techniques and things that can also help you to innovate from technologies that we can use, from behaviors, from techniques that can help you to do innovation. And that's what we are going to talk today a little bit about. So I wanted to go to a little bit history. It's not the real history of innovation, but a quick thing that emphasizes a certain point that I want to make. Then we look at how companies, organizations can use a framework for innovating, what it means social innovation and open innovation, what is it actually, these are trends that we hear about, what does it mean. Then we look at a couple of techniques that you can use. You don't have to be a genius to invent or to be a fantastic creative person to do some crazy stuff and crazy shit. You can learn it yourself what you're doing. And then we look at, coming back to gamification a little bit, of how to use gamified systems. There are actually a couple of management systems, innovation management systems that are gamified, and that's what we're going to look at. Now, let's go to 2 slides, history of innovation. What is innovation? Actually, innovation is not invention. Invention is just doing something and then not following through with that. Innovation means I invent and I execute. Execute means I bring it to market. The best invention doesn't help you if it's not going to the people and helping them. Yeah? So by combining it, we talk about innovation. And then there are multiple flavors of innovation, and this is not a complete list, so don't nail me down on that stuff. We talk about incremental innovation, and incremental innovation is just little improvements that you do. Yeah? You have an assembly line for car manufacturing, and at the beginning it's not smooth yet, but then you start improving on the process, making it better, making it more effective, and these are these little inventions that you have, and over the time you have a very smooth and effective process. Yeah? Or just look at devices like this. The first time it came out, it was basically disruptive, this innovation, or this kind of breakthrough innovation, this phone, but now it's iPhone 5. There are only little changes that are coming, so this is incremental. Now you have a fingerprint sensor, fingerprint sensor to identify yourself, etc. But it's not really big and new, at least what we understand at the moment from now. So incremental innovation means we do better, and breakthrough means we do it different. Yeah? Before that we had 3 devices to take a picture, to have a Palm notebook or something like that, and a phone. Now it's 1 device. And we don't know what else is going to come in, yeah, and how we are using that in the future. And then some people talk about what they call macro innovation, like a complete new product line that comes out, or others talk about what is called micro innovation, and that is, again, a little bit these small innovation steps, but also something that you can better set in goals. Yeah, let's make this a little bit better here and there, so you can really set a goal. While macro innovation often doesn't really give you a goal, you don't know where you're going really. And that is also something that makes it very difficult for management to actually plan for that, because management is set up to plan and to minimize the risks and so on. And a macro innovation or breakthrough innovation always means risk. You have no clue if this will going to be successful, how large the market is, and so on. While incremental innovation, you know exactly, if I put in that feature, this customer will buy it. If I put in those things, that customer will buy it, and they will pay so and so much, and there will be 10 million revenue, and that is something that I can justify to invest and have development work for, $500,000 to do that. So how does innovation, or where does innovation happen? So when we look a little bit at those things, all these trade routes, 3,000 years before Christ, like the Velvet Street and all these kind of things, this is where exchange of information happened. Yeah? From one place to the other place, things, products, ideas were transported. So by getting people together, to connect people through these trade routes, ideas were exchanged. Then the scientific revolution, where we started, slowly going away a little bit from the beliefs or the things that religious scriptures, at least in the Western societies back then, we started to look more from an objective perspective, from a more fact-based perspective. And of course, with the invention of printing presses, suddenly information could be disseminated and brought together. And then, I'm from Vienna, Austria. Coffee houses are one of these very important things there. Yeah, where you sit together, at least literature, a lot of that happened there. People sit together and discuss also ideas. You had still in a Viennese coffee house, that wants to be a real Viennese coffee house, you have a lot of newspapers, printed newspapers. That are not iPads hanging on the wall, but really newspapers that are there from all over the world that you go and read. And maybe also, get some crazy ideas and rebellious ideas, yeah, revolutionary ideas, and that's where the hotspots of where change happened. Then, what is called here as urban slums, where these areas of cities where people lived very densely together. Yeah? The more people live together, the more the exchange of ideas happen. When you look at cities like New York, yeah, also people coming from so many different cultures. Also Israel, yeah, relatively small country, a lot of people from different cultures coming in under the umbrella of the same or similar religion. But so much influx of knowledge, of different perspectives of the world, make it a hotspot for innovation. The Silicon Valley, similar, you bring together people, 40–50% of the people in the Silicon Valley are not born in the US. And when they have different lifestyles, different cultural backgrounds, speak different languages. The last team that I was part of at SAP, we were 12 people, 10 nationalities, 15 languages. Yeah, so that was the kind of normal thing. I know more today about Bollywood movies than I ever wanted to know, because all of my Indian colleagues who told me about that. Don't know so much about Israeli movies. I know one or two, and I know always they're funny. They're good. Then things, of course, with the advent of the internet, there came a couple of new trends, including the open source movement. Yeah, where suddenly the open source Linux, one of the most prominent ones, start suddenly competing with professional software. And not only competing, they are basically superior than those things. Yeah? Operation systems, web servers. When you look today at what's running the internet or what's running companies, a large part of that is open source stuff. And this is not just limited to software or other things, but really to everything, including, for example, online video. If you watch videos from TED, yeah, the organization, these inspiring talks, the first time they tossed out those videos, uploaded them from their speakers, what happened was an interesting effect. The speakers then for the next TED events saw these videos, watched these videos to get an understanding of what's basically the standard, what is expected from them, and then they try to top that, make it better. Yeah? And then those videos were uploaded. The next speakers looked at those videos and said, okay, I can top that. And what happened is a self-reinforcing effect that people suddenly, the quality of videos, the quality of the presentations became so high that people prepare for a 20 minutes or 15 minutes talk at TED like 4 or 5 months. They rehearse hundreds of times this talk to get over the message in this 15 minutes. That's why this quality is so high. And that is for a lot of these communities. There's another one, dancing community on YouTube. So there's something like that. People there look at the moves that people do, and then they try to outdo them or bring in new ideas. Yeah, and you get these masses up, the quality up. And for that, you need, in order to get a critical community mass, you need approximately 10,000 users, because there are certain roles that are included, and we will take a look at it a little bit later. Now, this is Linus Pauling. He's he's 2 times Nobel Award laureate. He won it for chemistry and for the Peace Nobel Prize, and he said, if you want to have good ideas, you need a lot of ideas. Yeah? So basically think of it, 100 ideas, and there's one great one, or one that sparks from that 100 ideas that is great. So you need a lot of those things. And that also includes you need to be able to generate a lot of ideas. Of course, you as a single person, you may have a lot of ideas, but probably not 100 ideas, yeah, at this moment. But when we sit in this room together and think creatively, we probably get 100 ideas, and that's why one very good idea in that, yeah. And that's why we need to be able to work together, and we need to be encouraged to talk about these ideas. And you may have a totally crazy idea where people say, this is nuts, yeah. But this again may exactly be the idea that sparks another thought over there, yeah, and gets us into the right direction. Yeah, that's why it is necessary to have a lot of ideas and encourage this idea generation. Now let's take a look at a framework. First, of course, we have what we call the taxonomy, so that we have an understanding of what we're talking about. And when we look then at innovation in an organization, we talk not about just a product, yeah? like a phone. This actually is not just a physical product. There's a lot of intangible things, a lot of services that come with that. There are software that are downloaded, business model that have been changed. The business model that I, as an application developer, can make money here, yeah, or that the phone, the way I pay for the services that I use are totally different than it was before. Before that I paid per minute, now I have a plan, yeah, or I have a data plan, etc. So there's a business model innovation what I have. There's a business process innovation. I may change the business process, make it shorter, make it more effective, make it flexible, etc. There's a solution innovation, there's technology innovation, technology, here we have it, and competency innovation. Here we may need to change what we know and how we work and how we do stuff. Then there are process and methodologies, and how actually do we go ahead and do innovation, including doing research, as you know, and standing in the laboratory in white coats and doing stuff like that, but also ideation. Creative methodologies, we will be talking about a couple of them later. Collaborative idea management. How do we do it together? How do we manage those ideas? And how do we work on ideas? And who decides and which idea goes forward and which one do we pursue? Empathic methodologies. Not just giving you that and telling you that is an empathic technology. It allows you, basically you connect with your feeling, with your heart to that. Apple can do it very well, and there are technologies where you understand what actually a user really wants, and gamification is one of these methodologies that goes from that thing. What do you care about actually as a user? And we try to understand that. And then of course things like knowledge management, IP management, new product service development that we have, commercialization, and innovation project management to get it through in a structured way. And then people and networks. Yeah? We need, of course, to create also a culture that people can do those things. And culture means that we allow them to fail, that we give them the time and the resources, that we speak properly to them, that we help them get these ideas forward, yeah? That we allow them to talk about that, to connect them, etc. And to bring them together with people not only in this room, but also go outside and talk to partner companies, talk to universities, talk to just experts that are out there and get them in. And then we need, of course, to help it get through. There are a lot of things to orchestrate and govern that, from a strategy that the company is itself set up to do things like that, and that is appreciated. That we also look at we are not running risks, or reducing risks a little bit, and not maybe breaking some IP laws and other things and then get hit there. So we have to look at that. And then of course that once we failed with things, that we learn as an organization. Yeah? What did we do wrong? How can we do it differently? And not just repeat the same mistake over and over again, and keep that knowledge in there. And very difficult, of course, innovation measurement. How do we measure actually the success of innovation and other things? Yeah? So we will be looking at a couple of them in the next slides. And here's, for example, a typical process of how it is set up in organizations. First, you do something like submit an idea. Yeah? Somewhere you have a system where you say, I have this great idea of, a zeppelin that brings flowers to something, yeah? Flying drones that deliver pizza in a pizzeria. Yeah? And then somebody looks at that, or it goes through the systems, it will be prioritized, promoted, archived, tracked. But in between, we do a little analysis, a design, we may be building a prototype, we pilot it, and you see that we do these loops here. Yeah? So it's an iterative thing. This is not just a straightforward thing, we're iterative. And we may also go and say, no, we're not going with the pilot, we just archive it, and that's it. Good try. Or the other one is we productize that. And this is, of course, something that we may go through the same idea 5 years later, and suddenly we productize it. Yeah? Some things may be too early. The window of opportunity may be too early. Mobile technologies, 10 years ago, there were mobile technologies to help nurses and medical staff in hospitals to have patient records. Back then, this window was not open. People couldn't use it. Today, with the internet and mobile devices everywhere, the time is mature for that. Everyone accepts that people are ready for using it and doing it. And suddenly, boom, this whole sector explodes. And you can make a lot of money by creating solutions for that area. So what are the characteristics of such a collaborative idea management process? You can create with that thing ideas from all lines of businesses, including people who can contribute about things that are not necessarily their business, or not where they are, you're in this knowledge management area, or you are a salesperson, and suddenly you submit an idea, or you contribute to that, and you suddenly have an opportunity to say something about that. And this is one of the characteristics of innovation. Innovation is often bringing multiple disciplines together and sparking these new thoughts. Yeah? When you look again at the iPhone or things like that, you have photography, yeah, computer chips, human behavior, touch screens. These elements were all here, but the way they put it together created this disruptive innovation. And that means also you need people from every aspect to be able and allowed to talk about things. Then collaborative and transparent discussion of ideas. So this is something that's very important. If you live in a culture or in a company where the open discussion is not allowed or not appreciated, and honest feedback is scoffed about, then you're not winning here. Yeah, you are discouraging people to chip in. Of course, you want to measure that. In organizations, you always want to see how many ideas are coming in, how many ideas are getting realized, how much do people engage in here, and you need an infrastructure so that also you can incentivize the people who are contributing, yeah? and tell them, actually, here's some very good people who have a lot of idea. How can we help them more? How can we reward them? Now, critical factors in such processes are things like, if you have one person who needs to basically do something, and this creates a bottleneck, then you're killing these things, because people who submit ideas are not getting feedback and they're getting frustrated. Yeah? Idea reviewers, often this is a kind of a thing, companies want to control that thing, whatever is happening there, so they submit an official committee that reviews these ideas and does something with them. Yeah? And often these people are not the right ones that you select. Then somebody needs to be responsible for implementing that idea. Yeah? And if this is not necessarily the idea submitted, but somebody else, then the failure likelihood is very high. So you need to make sure that the person, like a startup, yeah, the person who has the idea has also a chance to follow that through and do that stuff and gets responsible for that, because these are the people who are passionate about it. Then also give them time and resources. Allow them just to book their 4 hours a week on a certain cost center, so that they are not being punished for using their time for stuff that's not necessarily related with the product that I have today. Yeah? And give them, if they need a Kinect sensor, motion sensor, or an iPad to test something, give them a way to have these resources available. Often innovation fails because of $100. Yeah, $100. We're talking about $100. Secure feedback and recognition, and communicate carefully and regularly. Carefully means keep a positive attitude. Yeah? Don't say, it's a shitty idea, or just the Israelis, they always have this crazy stuff, nothing is coming out from there. Yeah? I was in Palo Alto. They said basically in this company, always these are the crazies in Palo Alto. Yeah? So when you talk about that, be careful how you communicate, because little notions, little prejudices can really kill open discussion. And when you may be left out of the really cool stuff that's going on. When we look on communities and crowds, we always look typically at the person who is submitting an idea. But we forget it's not just about the person submitting the idea, there are tons of other people there. Yeah? There are people like the trend spotter, a person who recognizes an idea, yeah? a promising innovation, and goes and does something and supports the idea, the contributor. We have the evangelist, the person who makes passionately a case for that idea, yeah? Talks about it to everyone and brings more people in. Similarly, the super spreader, the person who has this large network and basically connects you and brings you in and distributes this idea through the network. The skeptic, yeah, as much as we hate the skeptic, yeah, because he kills our baby, yeah, he says the baby is ugly, who wants to hear that? They keep the conversation honest. They force you to think and have answers to their things. And that makes it grounded in reality and brings this idea forward. And then, of course, you need general participants, people who just show up, discuss honestly, and have an honest opinion about it, and also are here to learn about those things. Typically, you need a little calculation, how many people do you need. This does not mean that we have here 2, 4, 6 people in such a thing. Yeah? This is basically a person who has a good idea. There's only 1 out of 100 people, let's sum of rule, who has good ideas. But they have good ideas maybe twice a year. So they need to be exposed also to other ideas. That means you can start calculating of how many people you need in order to have constantly good ideas, like every week. So you come immediately to community size of 1,000, 10,000 people in order to have a constant stream of good ideas and bring that in. And you need to make sure that all these people here who are there, that they have an opportunity to participate in that and live their role, and are also recognized for doing these roles. I may be one time a contributor, the next time I'm the one who spreads it because I have a network and I tell it or I make a case for somebody. Now let's take a look at social and open innovation. And here I want to talk about first adopters, which is very important in a scene, very innovative in the startup scene. The first adopters are those individuals who are willing to go through the pain to use your product the first time, yeah, and even pay for it. Yeah? How crazy is that? Yeah? That thing is certainly buggy, but I want it because I want to brag about that I'm so in the in scene and so on. So when we look at this adoption life cycle, you have certainly the innovators, then you have the early adopters, the early majority, late majority, and the laggards. The people are really late with that. Yeah? And this is something that actually cultures are. Some cultures have a majority of people here, and some have a lot of people here. So when you look at the Silicon Valley or here Israel, you also have a lot of people who are on the early adopter side, yeah? Who are willing to provide this feedback. So what they do is, they are very important, the first adopters. They provide much needed cash flow. They pay for your product and make you survive here. Yeah, or they use it in your company, and these are the people who really drive me, because the first time I get now feedback, I see it's working, I have now 100 people using that, and that's satisfying, that's encouraging, that's motivating for me. They have a high tolerance of pain, because they're going through all these bugs. Yeah. They provide valuable feedback. They tell me of how they're using it and what they would expect, so I can iterate and get better with that. And because they want to show that around, yeah, they are going there and bragging, oh, did you see, I have that, I'm the first one. That it works only 10% of the time is another story here. Now, I wanted to show you a video, and some of you may know that video, the shirtless guy.
learned a lot about leadership and making a movement, and let's watch a movement happen start to finish in under 3 minutes and dissect some lessons. First, of course, a leader needs the guts to stand alone and look ridiculous. But what he's doing is so simple, it's almost instructional. This is key. He must be easy to follow. Now here comes the first follower with a crucial role. He publicly shows everyone else how to follow. Notice how the leader embraces him as an equal. So it's not about the leader anymore, it's about them, plural. Notice how he's calling to his friends to join in. So it takes guts to be the first follower. You stand out and you create ridicule yourself. Being a first follower is an underappreciated form of leadership. The first follower transforms a lone nut into a leader. If the leader is the flint, the first follower is the spark that really makes the fire. Now here's the second follower. This is a turning point. It's proof the first has done well. Now it's not a lone nut and it's not 2 nuts. A tree is a crowd and a crowd is news. A movement must be public. Make sure outsiders see more than just the leader. Everyone needs to see the followers because new followers emulate followers, not the leader. Now here come 2 more people, then 3 more immediately. Now we've got momentum. This is the tipping point, and now we have a movement. As more people jump in, it's no longer risky. If they were on the fence before, there's no reason not to join in now. They won't stand out, they won't be ridiculed, and they will be part of the in crowd if they hurry. And over the next minute, you see the rest who prefer to stay part of the crowd, because eventually they'd be ridiculed for not joining. And ladies and gentlemen, that is how a movement is made. So let's recap what we've learned. If you are a version of the shirtless dancing guy, all alone, remember the importance of nurturing your first few followers as equals, making everything clearly about the movement, not you. Be public, be easy to follow. But the biggest lesson here, did you catch it? Leadership is over-glorified. Yes, it started with the shirtless guy, and he'll get all the credit, but you saw what really happened. It was the first follower that transformed a lone nut into a leader. There's no movement without the first follower. See, we're told that we all need to be leaders, but that would be really ineffective. The best way to make a movement, if you really care, is to courageously follow and show others how to follow. When you find a lone nut doing something great, have the guts to be the first person to stand up and join in.
Okay, so here's this example of really the lone nut, the guy standing there. This is basically the innovator. This is basically the startup founder. This person is the lone nut at the beginning, yeah? You wonder, what's this guy doing, yeah? I don't understand this idea, yeah? But then you have the first follower, and suddenly it becomes more interesting, and others are following. So you need to, if you want to be an inventor, an innovator, you have to get ready that you feel like this shirtless guy at the beginning, yeah? But the other role of the person who really wants to use it first is equally important, yeah? And if you can serve in such a role, then you make also something very important here. When I started looking at gamification, yeah, in a serious company like SAP, I knew exactly that I will look crazy, yeah, talking about games in a business environment. Because I had experienced it 5 years earlier that we had already brought up looking at games, and this was like, oh no, we cannot do that. In Palo Alto, no, that we have already this bad reputation, and now this even more. We cannot do that. Yeah, so you need to overcome that. And I think it's a funny story here, the shirtless guy. Now, there are a couple of ways also to select ideas in at least 10 different ones. First, and I recommend actually follow number 1 always, yeah? The one that is really interesting to you. Yeah? If you like it and you are interested in that, you're motivated and you really go ahead with that. And then you know also when you're interested in that, you will have the power to stand ridicule and the long-term thing. Yeah? So if you're interested in something, then it helps you really to overcome these many valleys that you're going through. The other one is, next one is guessing. You just can get, oh, this could be a good idea. Yeah? And that actually, I would say, what a lot of people are doing, because nobody knows really what's a good idea or what's not. Yeah? Or what's most valuable to customers. Yeah? But you know, as said, Steve Jobs is known for that he said, we are not making any customer reviews, we are not making any market studies, because the customer doesn't know what they want, yeah? If you want to be disruptive. You know that you want maybe another button here, another feature there, but this is not helpful, this is not making innovation. Or you have an innovation portfolio where you build up an artificial kind of thing and put it together and try to cover that thing. Or you have a formal process, yeah, beware of formal processes. Or you solve the most urgent, yeah. This is not really active, this is reactive, and may in the long run be not what you want to, you're not controlling the situation. Or you have experts, but then you have to be careful, yeah. Experts can be structurally and functionally blind, yeah. Look at what's happening in the mobile market, yeah. BlackBerry, yeah? All these experts on how to use keyboards, they were just blown away by suddenly all these touchscreens. Yeah? Voting, yeah, this is a mechanic to involve people and vote on that. There are also some pitfalls on that. Or you do experiments, A/B testing, things like that to figure out what's the right one. Or you use a combination of those things. Now, I wanted to talk also about what I've seen all the time is, because companies want to control the innovation process. So they want to put what is called idea committees, juries, reviewers, this kind of elderly, senior, wise men and women there to select the ideas. And everyone, you know, this gentleman, we all know him, yeah, Steve Jobs. Everyone thinks they are Steve Jobs. Yeah. Well, of course, there's only one Steve Jobs. Yeah, you're not. And he was very specific in things, and he was very often wrong as well with stuff. Yeah. But why, when you have an idea committee, why do we say this is a bad idea? First one is, the people on such idea committees or review committees are often managers, you know, that were nominated. You go there and do that stuff. Yeah. I name you. But management is not here to innovate. Management is here to keep the status quo and basically milk the existing products. In companies, in large companies, you want to run that process effectively. So you tend to get people there who are actually not really in the innovation and creation scene. Yeah? And they also have titles, status. If I do a crazy idea, I risk my status, my reputation. So I better not have crazy ideas. Yeah? And I've dealt with a lot of these people, and they didn't see certain things. Yeah? They have not much knowledge on most topics and markets, and this is not exceptional. Who has knowledge about all topics and markets? None of us. Yeah? This is just natural. I don't know anything about cloud. I don't know much about mobile. I know a little bit about gamification, but that also could be a problem if I want to see an innovation thing here, because I may be already blind here in the thing. Yeah. So now imagine you have 10 people in this idea review committee, and they have to deal with a variety of ideas. You know, think large companies, Cisco, IBM. Yeah, and there's so many fields and there's ideas. How can I know everything about those things? I cannot. Yeah, so I have already a problem. And even if I know about that, I may be blind because I learned of how to do this way, but I may not recognize the innovative idea that disrupts it and question that notion. I mentioned that they may be structurally or functionally blind. That means we always did it this way, and this cannot be like that, and then I see that. It's also very difficult to identify good ideas. How do you really, what is a good idea? Yeah? I remember the one guy, there was a idea contest, and the guy who presented the idea, he said, I have here a smartphone, and here's the receipt of my travel. I take a picture of it, and it's automatically in the travel expense system, and I don't have to fill out anything anymore. Yeah? And the one idea reviewer sat there and said, I don't see a use case for that. Yeah? It was completely clear that this SVP who was sitting there did never do travel expenses. He dumped just the travel receipts to his secretary, and she did everything. Yeah, so he had no experience on those things. Yeah, because he had somebody, he had a slave doing that for him. Yeah? And then often they have no stake in the idea. They are not putting money in there. Yeah? They have no interest in doing that. Often this idea may be actually something that interferes with what I'm doing. Yeah? This is my area, knowledge management. Somebody has an idea about how to do knowledge management better, and I say, we thought about that already, it's not going to work, and I have no resources anyway, and that's how a good idea dies. Yeah? At the end, of course, what do? They, of course, go through this idea and rate that and write comments on that. And in the end, when 10 people are doing that, 5 people have no clue about that topic, 3 people have a little bit, 2 maybe experts, what you get in the end is an averaged out voting mechanism. Yeah? And if a good idea bubbles up, then this is more luck than built into the process. So we tried, or what can be done, or what are now ways to encourage those things is things like, you allow what we call a kind of a grassroots initiative, so that you allow people to form themselves on a grassroots base, yeah, without management interference, that people who have ideas can discuss it publicly. Google is doing that. You can join a team and work on, Google News, yeah, or Gmail. They came out of those things where people assembled themselves on a voluntary base inside the company. Or at SAP was the Innovation Steampunk. They came together in order to find people who help. And there are a couple of advantages with that. I don't need a review or a committee talking about that, and they may find anyways only the incremental innovation. But I need 2 or 3 guys only to find there, because they are lingering around there, and I can work on a disruptive idea that nobody recognizes at this stage. And I have a place to find people who are there. So there's an internal community. Or of course, then there's something like Kickstarter. Kickstarter is, when you think of it, nothing else than a crowd-funded, crowd-sourced innovation platform. Yeah, I have an idea of what I want to do. Here's my prototype. I have that. Now, I want to productize that. Do you want to chip in money? Yeah, resource, basically. Bring that in. Or I use something, and that's where I said a manager or a review committee has no stake in the innovation. I use what I call the venture capital model of innovation. I live in the Silicon Valley. I have attended venture capital pitches. And this was one of the most interesting experiences, to see a startup founder pitch the idea and how the venture capitalists are interacting with this person. A manager listens to an idea, gives some feedback because they have the status and the thing. They clap at the demo, yeah, and then they walk out and forgot about the idea. The venture capital, because they have no stake. Yeah? They are not interested. They are not taking that over then and build that. The venture capitalist has $100 million, $500 million that in 5 years from now, they have to basically double, triple, quadruple that, yeah, and return it to the investors. So they're looking now at your idea and say, can it make me money? Are you the right person? Is this idea? What about these 10 other companies who do the same thing? What's different here? Yeah? And what's the market thing? And they really interact with you, and then at the end they go and put money in there, and it's not over. Yeah? Because now they gave you money, they want it back. Yeah? It needs to help you that they can make more money out of that. So they connect you, they bring you together. And this is what you would need to implement when you do innovation and want to do something in your organization. Try to create a venture capital model where the manager is not just sitting there clapping, giving smart-ass feedback, but really has an obligation to also fund, has a budget, and has resources to put on that, and is evaluated after a certain period. How many ideas did this person fund, and what came out of those things? Next one. So, of course, it's not enough just to do innovation inside the company or with people inside the company. Even if you're in a large company like SAP here has I don't know how many people are actually working here. Worldwide, 65,000 employees. That does not mean these are all the people who have innovative ideas. Yeah? There are millions of people who are good. So, and you want to tap into those resources. We have the technologies today to do that. And that is what open innovation says. Let's work with others on that, with partners, with external experts, with academia, to get it together and create innovation. Now, drivers for that is, of course, the abundance of global accessibility to knowledge. With the internet, suddenly we see what hotspots of knowledge is out there and what interesting knowledge is out there. You can browse the internet for days and weeks and months and still stumble over the newest and crazy things that you've ever heard of. Yeah? Also, R&D, when you do it internally, is very expensive, and if you build up that kind of thing, it's often cheaper to really bring in external experts and work with open innovation. And then, of course, Israel knows that well. Yeah? Small country, but the world is much larger, yeah? And that they're experts on certain small topics outside maybe very likely, but that you find somebody with the same knowledge and the same deep expertise in this country, that may be more difficult, yeah, to find. Also, it became much easier and cheaper to found a company. In the Silicon Valley, they even say it's easier to found a company than find a developer. Yeah? There are more startup founders than developers there. And then the growth of the venture capital market, people understand that the markets, that there's money there, yeah? And so things like companies being bought here, like Waze, yeah, or other companies, actually means fantastic stuff for venture capital market here. Because first, the others are encouraged now also to invest, yeah? And these guys who made the money will go back in there and use their money to fund themselves. Yeah? Many of these startup founders become venture capitalists or angels themselves, yeah, and give back to the community. Critical factors, of course, again, the lack of time to evaluate that. A culture that privileges internal innovation, not invented here, it's not my baby thing, yeah. So, and we know it better than they, yeah. So that can kill that, yeah. Then also, of course, you have to be careful with intellectual property. What you do here, you may be overestimating always the competitive risk. You may say open innovation, but when we tell people outside what we're doing, then the others could take that and they win. It's very unlikely, actually, yeah, because also people think more on this. Oh, it's not our idea. That must be not interesting what they do. And then, you know, lose relationships only between certain businesses or departments in the organization. Now, I'm not just talking about technology. Technology is actually the least important part in innovation. What's more important is always the culture. Yeah? And I've mentioned that already. If you're not encouraging people, if people are not allowed to fail in a safe way, you're not getting innovation. There are companies in the Silicon Valley who actually celebrate failure. They have every month the biggest failure that they celebrate. Yeah? Because if you're not failing, you haven't taken a large enough risk. Bill Gates is supposed to say, there's a story about a guy, a manager, I think, had a project, $100 million, failed miserably. Yeah? So he wasted basically $100 million, and he went to Bill Gates and said, I'm going to resign, yeah, because I just failed. Yeah? And Bill Gates said to him, now that I spent $100 million in your education, you're not leaving me. Yeah? I need your knowledge now for the next ones. Yeah? So this is basically some of the part that goes into this 75% of culture. And here are a couple of things where innovation can fail. Yeah? Of course, the idea may suck, yeah? Just maybe a bad idea. Yeah? Who needs a gold iPhone? I don't know. Not me, yeah, so maybe this idea is good, but not for me. I know that Asian cultures like a lot of gold, so they do that. But, you know, we've mentioned a couple of these other things that help you. Now here are things that risk adversity of management, legal runs the show. I'll just give you an example. YouTube, you know what YouTube did? They uploaded everything there, yeah? Although they knew that IP will be broken everywhere that they have. So they have all this illegal stuff there. But they went the risk and did it. And then in the end, when they were bought by Google, they settled, paid, I don't know, hundreds of millions of dollars in fines and settlement fees. But guess what's the biggest video platform today? YouTube. Yeah? But if you have a company where management is too scared, yeah, and legal says you cannot do that, innovation dies right at the spot. The not invented here syndrome, and I'm not going through anything here, yeah, but read it up. That's, there are tons of more examples. Now I wanted to show you a video of a startup that does the following. I just show you the video.
Joe is a real tinkerer. At home, he's already invented an electric corkscrew and a device to speed up the ripening of his tomatoes. But now, he's onto something that could really change the world. The Zeppelin rain dispenser. All he needs to build the first prototype is a little technical help, some special tools, and a place to work. If only there was a way Joe could get to know Mary, an engineering student who has plenty of time she would like to invest in an interesting project. Steve, whose company used to be in the aviation business and who's still wondering what to do with his old machines. And Grandma Lucy, who has a large barn located just 2 blocks away that she no longer uses since retiring from the farming business. Maker Square brings them all together. Maker Square is the lab for curious makers and explorers that enables people to work together and share resources to create new knowledge. How does this work? In order to match project needs and free resources, Maker Square has developed an intelligent, ontology-based algorithm. So when Joe introduces his project to the Maker Square community, he first specifies what he needs to complete his task. Maker Square then automatically suggests matching resources that offer to share their experience, knowledge, and tools or services, for money or for free. On the other hand, Mary, Steve, and Grandma Lucy get the opportunity to become part of some of the most fascinating projects known to man. And when Joe and his team realize that volunteer resources aren't enough and further revenue is needed, they can easily build a crowdfunding campaign. So whether you have an exciting idea or simply want to be part of one, join us at Maker Square and unleash your inner scientist. Maker Square, the lab for curious makers and explorers.
So that's a good example of how to bring together these resources and these people from different areas and how you can contribute and participate in such crazy ideas. And they use it also for internal things. So if they go to the NASA and they have all this equipment and tools, teams and employees can find each other in internal projects as well. Now, you may say, well, innovation, I'm not creative. Yeah? Actually, that's not true. I live in America, and there they say, you can do everything, it's just a craft. Everything is a craft. Writing a movie script is a craft, composing is a craft, writing a book is a craft. Being creative and innovative is also a craft that you can learn by using certain techniques, and we'll look at a couple of them. So, subtraction technique means you list all necessary components of an existing product and just subtract one that is necessary and see what's happening. Yeah? Here's an example. Yeah? What's missing here? What's missing here? The screen. So here, people thought it's necessary. Yeah, you need that screen. No, you don't need it. Suddenly you have a new product, and you don't need to schedule or plan how, in what order the music is played. It just shuffles. And this was one of the most best-selling products that they had. Yeah? Or this here is a picture of these miners in Chile who were trapped a few months, 3 years ago, if you remember that, 40 people of them, yeah?
33.
I cannot hear you. 33, yeah, exactly. And the thing was that this capsule was nothing new. That was the first time in use in 1950, in the 1950s in Germany. What happened there was also a mine accident, and the escape tunnels were blocked and everything. Yeah, but they had only this kind of a supply thing where they had a small thing where they could give them food when they found them. And back then, the rescue strategy was build a tunnel so that they can get them all out again. Yeah, build a large tunnel to go there. But then a guy was there and said, you know, we don't actually need that. In this supply tunnel that we have, we can bring them out. And they were functional and structurally blind and thought the only option is to get them all at the same time out instead of one by one. Which you may think today, that's a completely clear solution. Back then it was not, because people were blind on those things. What is obvious today was not obvious before it was obvious. Yeah? So this became standard rescue technique for While we looked at that, because this was a very prominent example, I thought, oh, it's a great idea, it is standard practice for the last 50 years. Or the multiplication technique. List all items of a product and take one and multiply it. And let's take a look what it brings. You know one example? Razor blades. Yeah? You remember that? I mean, this is already a joke in the industry. Yeah? The Mach 20, yeah? 20 razor blades that you have, and how it look like. It apparently helped to do more than just one razor blade. Yeah? So you take a component and add it. Or back then in 1878, there was this discussion, is actually a horse that is galloping, lifting the legs from the floor, from the ground in a moment? Or is it always touching with at least one leg the floor? That was a thing that they discussed back then. They didn't know about it. So what did they do? They built up 24 cameras, so they multiplied one camera by 24. They had no movie camera back then, and took 24 pictures. Yeah? And then they could prove, yeah, well, here we see that all 4 legs are lifted once in the thing. That is a multiplication technique. Or this is the tsetse fly. The tsetse fly is this, the transmitter of a disease called a sleeping sickness. So it's a very horrible disease. What they did is they multiplied tsetse flies. You want to kill them actually, so you could spray them and do all this stuff, yeah, these horrible things, but they did the opposite. They put out more tsetse flies. Now, these were of course not the normal tsetse flies. They used male tsetse flies that they sterilized. So once the sterile male tsetse flies came out there, the females paired with them, there was no offspring, and the population decreased until basically the tsetse flies died out here for that thing. Yeah? And the sleeping sickness is a thing of the past. Multiplication technique. The task unification technique is use one existing component and see if it can be used for another purpose. Yeah? Have you ever used capture, recapture? Yeah, probably when you're logged on somewhere, we try to figure out, are you human or a robot? Yeah? But what they did is people are entering these kind of things, and what they did is with recapture, they scan from books stuff in, and then some of the things are illegible because the books are old, the OCR system cannot recognize what that word is about. So what do? You offer it to humans. Yeah? So this is the one word that the system doesn't know. This is the word that the system already knows. It offered it 10 times to 10 different users worldwide. If the users are coming up with the same answer, we have a translation. So we basically use recognizing of are you a human or not to translate books as well. Or the iPhone. Yeah? The phone suddenly is not just something to take a call. The phone is something to take a picture. This phone is something to do anything else but not call. Or here is the Great Sunflower Project. Why are bees dying and where are the bee population declining? And they used humans living there, loving bees, to also start counting them and enabling them to do that. Or the attribute dependency technology, which means I use an attribute on that thing, on this feature, to give me more information or do something else with that thing. Here's an example. If you have children, you probably have seen these spoons that change color depending on the temperature of the food. So if the food is too hot, yeah, you cannot feed the child, and the color indicates that. That is attribute dependency. Or I deliver pizza within 30 minutes. Yeah? 30 minutes is an additional attribute that I add there. If I'm not delivering the pizza in 30 minutes, you get it for free. The division technique. Yeah? You divide an existing feature into multiple parts and reconfigure them in a novel way. This is how a TV looked like many, many years ago. And all the buttons and knobs were on the thing. I divided it, take it, and have it on the remote. That's division. Submarines. The first submarines had only one compartment. Now the submarines have, of course, we know that, multiple compartments because we can shield better these things. It's less likely to have an accident. We can have dangerous things here in the compartment and food in the other one. Let's take a look at the video. For music, that shows you the same. And here I'm coming back now to Angry Birds. So what was the division technique here? Oops. Shaking it. What was the division technique here? You saw that he played multiple instruments, yeah, and then cut it together into the thing. What is normal for you today? 70 years ago, it was not. Yeah? They started to have, typically at this time back then, they had the orchestra in the recording studio. Yeah, but today you're recording it when the Rolling Stones are going to record something. They're never really meeting each other because the players, the musicians, are coming at different times and just recording their track. So back then, dividing one thing into multiple tracks and combining it was something new, and that is what they are doing here as well. Yeah, they are playing the same. He's playing 5, 6, 7 instruments. She's singing multiple voices. That's division technique. And then design thinking, you may know that is basically this emphatic thing where I'm trying to understand really what the user's problem is by following the user and putting myself in the shoes of that user. And that's not a linear process. It's an iterative process. I understand the problem. That's very important. Often people don't understand the problem. Yeah? I observe. I watch the point of view of the user. I look and ideate, create ideas. I prototype. I validate, and I go back and forth in all these steps. The toothbrush is something for children that was designed like that, yeah? Because before that you had children toothbrushes that looked like for adults, but kids have different hands, yeah? And so you need to have the grip, the handle differently, yes? It's much thicker so that you can hold it properly. And there are tons of examples around those things. Or the shopping cart, famous example of how to do the new shopping cart, reinvent something like that, yeah? And innovate around those things. Now, the last slides that I'm going through are some examples of gamified innovation management systems and to motivate people to participate in those things, and there are tons of solutions out there. One is, for example, Starbucks uses that. They ask their customers, what ideas do you have? And you won't believe it, but there are 35,000 ideas for coffee and espresso-based drinks. I don't know what they're doing, yeah? What ideas, or 4,000 for Frappuccino beverages. Yeah? I'm a coffee lover, but this is just crazy. Yeah? So very successful, yeah? But people are actually participating. Or Spigot. Spigot is a platform that uses, of course, rating and commenting, but what they also do is they allow you as a user to have a little virtual budget, and you can buy an idea. Like you play on the stock exchange. You buy an idea as if it were a stock, and the price of this idea rises. And because you have only a certain amount of budget, you have to really think hard in which one I invest. And by investing in that, your portfolio grows. Yeah? This was used, for example, by the Department of Works and Pensions in the UK. So the guy actually who had the largest portfolio at the end was a little clerk outside in the countryside in the department, and he works now in the London headquarters because he apparently was one who could really identify good ideas very well. One company who's doing that as well, also with kind of stocks. They're not just doing stocks where you invest, but you can also invest by working on it, yeah, and helping this idea get through. And the management then really, after 3 months, funds those top 10 ideas and puts budget in that, yeah, and just does it like that. The management is really here behind those things. Another way, of course, are hackathons, yeah, startup events where you come together and just crazy under conditions within 24 hours, you have to come up with a fantastic idea or innovation. A Belgian company called Venture Spirit, they are not just doing it for developers, software developers, they also add entrepreneurs so that you have a business guy there, that you have marketing guy there, that you create basically a whole business plan for that in this 24 hours or 1 week event. And they have also investors. So they have investment cycles, virtual investment cycles that they have there. And at the end, you have your startup. You have your startup running here. Now, there are some more like Innocentive. You may have heard of Innocentive, where from the chemical and pharmaceutical industry, where people basically within minutes often have a solution that come out from a different field. Or forecasting, things that include forecasting, where people using, where the crowdsourced forecasting happens, so-called crowdcasting. Or that where you create missions for local change in Africa, a platform called Evoke, where people are encouraged to innovate for the local communities. Okay, so tomorrow we're talking a little bit more about gamification at my workshop. If you're interested, feel free to join. I have always Angry Birds with me. I have Angry Birds today as well. That's why, to make it more fun. So I typically throw this here around. I hope I don't kill anyone. If you want to reach out, here's my email and my contact information. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I'll see you next one.